Good afternoon, y'all. It is Tuesday, August 27th, and I am so excited for our training tonight. I have a double pleasure of training for you guys. But first, I want to introduce to you Mr. John Fehrenbach. Now, I'm going to tell y'all about John. John and I are really good friends. I actually reached out to John not long after I became part of the success team. He had no idea who I was. And he probably thought, oh, MG, who is this crazy woman calling me? But over the course of the last couple of years, John and I have become great friends, great business partners. He has helped me tremendously in my journey. We kind of bounce ideas off of each other a lot. And I've asked him to kind of come on, share his story or any thoughts that he has. He has a lot more experience. He's an executive director, new executive director, and I was like over the moon excited for him. He was actually, we keep talking about this trip we're going to go on and with our spouses in Mexico, and how exciting that will be. But anyway, I don't want to spoil it for him, so I'm going to kind of mute out and let him kind of take the floor. So, Mr. John, you have it.
Tammy, thank you for that sweet introduction. What Tammy didn't tell you is she introduced me to buttermilk pie, and I will be forever in her debt. If you've never had buttermilk pie, well, you're missing out on a true treat for sure. Thank you for letting me chat with you guys this evening, and I guess for what it's worth, I guess I would like to have it as a conversation. I'll tell you a little bit about me, and then I don't know, maybe open up to some questions. I have no real crazy agenda. A little over 3 years ago is when I started my Legal Shield journey, and I just, I just get bound and determined at some point, probably about 2 months in, maybe 3 months in, to make this business work and work well for me. I'm older. I can tell you. Well, let me back up just a little bit. So pre-COVID, I was in what I'll call my retirement job. I loved what I did. And I was in the steel pole business. And when you're driving down the highway, you see those poles that are holding up traffic lights, or the real tall lights on the highways, the structures that hold up the signs over the highways. That was the business I was in. I was the national, almost international sales guy for a company, and a bunch of engineers and a couple of fabrication shops. And we sent poles all over the country. And then we were bought like 3 years before COVID hit by a Canadian company who purchased most of their goods out of China. Now, they couldn't do that in the US, but their big company, purchased most of their goods out of China. And when COVID hit, obviously their supply just dried up. And so they started to just start cutting. They laid off all the what they considered non-essential personnel. So if you didn't pound with a hammer, weld with a torch, bend with a shear, or whatever they call those things, a labor type of jobs, then you were non-essential. So all the sales staff, the engineering staff, all everybody got laid off. So I find myself without a job during COVID. And I was okay, but I was heading into my looking forward to my retirement years with this huge 401k and so on and so forth. And as you know, when your income stops, it's got to come from someplace, and trying to find a job during COVID is just about as bad as anything else. So I was looking around for opportunities. I mean, when I say in the presentation, if you've ever been on the Monday Night Momentum, I had some boxes I need to check off. I literally sat with my wife one night And I said, boy, it'd be nice if I could find, these different things, right? A solid company to work with. I saw the way Amazon and Spotify, these subscription type services were just, they're on fire, right? I mean, if there's anybody on this Zoom that doesn't have a subscription service, it's because you've drawn a line in the sand and said, I'm not doing any of that stuff. Most of us have some type of subscription service. I said, it'd be nice to find a company like that. I said, because I could see how that could continue to pay you money into the future and a number of other things. Obviously you want a product that's, that everybody can wrap their arms around why they need it and so on and so forth. So Legal Shield, really showed up, when I put it out there that that's what I was looking for. Legal Shield showed up. I investigated it to the best of my abilities and decided to, take the leap and do it. It was not a great time in my life. My mom, who's still alive, she was having some issues. We had to get her out of her house, get her into other living, uh, different living space. And it was just not the right timing for me. But I jumped in because I thought I had put a bunch of stuff behind me and I didn't. And so it took me another couple months, maybe 3 months, to really get ramped up and doing what I wanted to do with a Legal Shield. And honestly, I got involved and, I started to, just I tell people this all the time. I'm a sponge. Mark and Jim and Tammy, whoever I could talk to and listen to. How things work for you. What has been the right thing for you? What has been successful for you? What's this? What's that? And just taking in all their information and grinding it up in this brain of mine and spitting it out the way I am, because I'll never be Tammy Martin. God knows we only want one of those. And you guys have such a wonderful leader. Honest to God, you do. I love Tammy to death, and thankfully I can joke with her like that. Thank you for being so sweet. Um, but I'm not going to say the way Tammy thinks, and vice versa. The things I've shared with Tammy, I'm sure she doesn't say the way I would say, but it's the idea. It's carrying that same thought forward. And when we talk about the system, right? Don't get off of the system. Well, you have to make the system your own. And not getting off the system is the steps are in process. The funnel is built, and your job is to figure out how you're going to get somebody from point A through our funnel and out the other end. Now, what's interesting is in the cold market recruiting world that some of us live in, where we're purchasing leads from some other place and we're trying to put them through our system, I think that you have to be a maniac about taking people through that system and starting them with an overview and then getting them to create a guest account and then pushing them through that system. And when they come out the other end, I'm sure you've all heard Mr. Tanner talk about Epiphany Bridge. They've either crossed Epiphany Bridge or they haven't. I mean, it's one way or the other. And pretty much they're not waffling. So I think that that's crazy important. When you're working with your warm market, you can be a little loosey-goosey with that. And pardon me, Tammy, if that's not, but I still think you need to get them to some kind of a presentation. I think you need to get the information in front of them. I think you need to let somebody else give them the information, whether it's a presentation like we do on Monday nights. I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Monday Momentum business overview. Miss DiGiacomo gave a testimony on one of our presentations. Excuse me. But we actually do a business overview on Monday evenings, and you can literally invite somebody to one of those. They go through that presentation and they come out the other end with a few questions. They should have questions. If they don't have questions, you need to scratch your head and wonder why. But you can almost close them from having them go through one of those presentations. And that's more warm market than cold market. Cold market folks, if they've gone through the whole funnel, they still want to think about it. I try and get them to one of those presentations. And the reason is that so far they've only talked to me typically. Maybe you've had a third party call, and they're still undecisive. If they're still talking to you, get them to a presentation where they can see other people and other people doing this. I think what's important is that we see somebody that we can relate to. Okay. Not everybody can relate to, white Anglo-Saxon guy with a low voice. All right. They might, prefer to see, somebody with a higher voice and longer hair, or you guys get what I'm trying to say. You relate to people differently. Um, and as much as, our ego wants to tell us that, we should be able to sell everybody, well, that's not the case. Sometimes it takes somebody else. And that's why we do the third party calls. So, um, my story, backing up a little bit, I started in the business. The first 3 months of my first year, I guess my first full year, um, I recruited a bundle of people. Our team, I was on a team, as you guys might be on a team for this trip we're doing now. We won first place in this overall team competition, and it was the coolest thing. We got to get up on stage and show off our trophies and all that kind of stuff. What was really neat is that I had gotten enough entries into a trip poll because I wasn't in soon enough to qualify for the trip, but I got enough entries that they pulled my name and I won a trip to Hawaii, all expenses paid for my wife and I, which was an absolute blast. So I got to go on a performance club trip, literally without qualifying, other than getting my name into this contest. So certainly saw what those trips are about, and don't want to ever miss those. And then, I've just continued, I call it staying on the train tracks. I've just continued to march along, and when I talk about performance club, and that being a club of of you being consistent, and that's, I think, is where your business has to start. You have to be consistent. Once you've reached that level of consistency, let's say you're recruiting 1 or 2 people a month, or 3 or 4 people a month, whatever it is. Now you get to decide, you know, okay, this is where I am. What's it going to take if I want to grow bigger? What's it going to take to move the peg? What's it going to take to do this? And Grant Cardone called it 10 times in your business, right? Where you start doing things to multiply your business, whether that's multiplying the number of people you're talking to, multiplying the number of follow-ups that you do, whatever it might be, to increase whatever it is you're looking to increase. So but again, it all starts with that consistency and building in my opinion, anyways, a solid foundation in your business. And that's what I've always strived to do amongst everything else, is not build a business on a deck of cards. I don't want to build a card house, right? Because obviously the wind will blow that thing down. So I want it to be foundational, and I want it to be solid as I progress and move through the ranks. And so far, knock on wood, I've been able to do that. Um, and it's been fun. I guess it has to be fun. For me, it's been fun. All the like-minded individuals I get to meet. I mean, Tammy and her husband are just wonderful people, as you all know. Sonora and her husband, and Jim and Mark, and just getting out and meeting those people, getting to live events. If you haven't been to one, even if there's strangers in the room, you'll find out pretty quickly they're not strangers. I've been to a number of Super Saturdays in Ohio. Um, I've taken some training in Pennsylvania, um, and I've been to every convention that I've been able to go to. Um, I think it's important to do all those things. So that's kind of been my journey. I don't know if that's helpful. Any questions that you guys have that I might be able to answer? You're going, well, I wonder how this guy does that, or this guy does that. What questions can I answer?
Hi, John. I see Mark put one in the chat. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Well, let me open the chat. What made that turnaround after 3 months? You mean, why did it take me so long to get started?
No, no. You know, I don't know like, how to get rolling. Because I know a few of us on this team, some of us are still looking for, a first sale, and some of us are like ready to get it going to the next stage. And it feels like, I don't know, for me, sometimes there's a little delay, and um, I don't know what made you said after 3 months it started kicking in. What was it?
Well,
Does that
when I
make
when I
sense?
say that mentally, I started kicking in. If that's a fair thing to say, um, what I was going through with my mom just took a ton of my time, as you might imagine. I'm sure some of you have been through or seen other people go through with issues with their family, and they have to tend to those issues. So mentally, I couldn't focus on this business. So mentally, I turned my attention towards the business, and started asking questions and started really jumping into the training with both feet and doing that type of thing. For me, I made the decision to uh, be the best cold market recruiter I could possibly be. And I started out small, with purchasing small groups of leads at a time, and which and then we could do the and just to see how that would work, and just worked every lead that I had till it died. Right, they wouldn't communicate with me or whatever it was, and I just worked those hard. And I kind of found my stride in that cold market recruiting. And I think Jim Rohn, raise your hand if you've listened to Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, you got to listen to Jim Rohn's network
Roan
marketing.
or Roan?
Rohn, Jim Rohn.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the sports guy.
Oh, no, no, no.
So did I, Jeff.
I'm gonna encourage Tammy to share the link to the Jim Rohn um, YouTube about network marketing if she hasn't done that with you, and if she has, I'm gonna encourage her to do it again, because it is probably the thing that made the most sense to me. Because Jim Rohn, he's like that grandfatherly type of guy that talks in almost in parables, if you will, and just the way he talked about growing your network marketing business, and almost comparing it to farming to a certain degree, right? You're spreading seeds, and some of it lands on stones. You're spreading seeds, and some of it grows up in the thorns, and you're spreading seeds, and some of it actually almost fruits and then dies on the vine. And part of that is we always want to ask ourselves why. Well, why didn't that seed grow, or why did that one die in the thorns, or why did that one? He says, I wouldn't go to school on that. Don't that you're never going to really know. All you can do is guess, and you're spending a lot of brain time on something that doesn't matter. What matters is the crops that are growing, and maintaining those crops, and sticking with them, and nurturing them, and pulling the weeds when you need to pull the weeds, and just getting out and taking care of those. But anyway, she's going to get that network marketing, but you guys will enjoy that. It's an hour well spent, trust me. So that I'd heard that, and that kind of like, well, all of that made sense in my brain, and what I've learned over the years, and I took a lot of that philosophy, because he talks about it as being a philosophy. Took a lot of that philosophy, and I applied it to my Legal Shield business, and it just all seemed to flow when you stop focusing on why didn't somebody uh, become an associate? Why didn't somebody buy a plan? Why did that associate, never really, decide to sell a plan? Or why when you stop focusing on that, focusing on on your business and its continued growth and the positives in your business, you number one, you're not putting any energy towards the negative, and secondly, you've got your energy focused in the right place. So, so I guess it wasn't the fact that I was trying for 3 months. It was the fact that it just took me that much time to really focus on my business. It was Mike, right? Mark. And then I guess, once I started focusing on the business, I started doing some trials with some cold market leads and things of that sort. I happened to do well in the cold market recruiting part of Legal Shield, and I just bumped up the number of people I was talking to. And the reason I thought about Jim Rohn was he talks about, let's say you have this guy and you're in a competition, and let's say that out of every 100 people that he talks to, he recruits 10 people, and let's say out of every 100 people you talk to, you recruit 2 people. Okay, now you're in a contest, and the guy that's recruiting 10 people out of that 100, he knows he's going to beat everybody because nobody's recruiting 10 people a month. And Mr. Rohn says, well, if I become determined to beat him, I know I need to talk to 1,500 people. That way I get more than, the more than his 10 out of 100, because it takes me 100 to get 2. Does that make sense? So my point is that,
Yeah, John, thanks.
yeah, if you're the type of person that, I mean, you're talking to 100 people and you get 1 sale or you get 2 sales, you just need to talk to more people. And guess what? As you progress and as you're talking to more and more people, I'll call it, I'm going to use a sales term here, your closing ratio starts to get bigger compared to the number of people that you talk to. So it's which is interesting, just because you get better at talking about the product, you get more confidence. The other thing I'm going to say to you, Mark, is you said some people here are struggling to make their first sale. I think that in any business, your first sale is absolutely the most difficult sale to make, and it's because you're not confident. Okay, you're unsure about the product. I mean, there's a number of reasons why that's that, but I think once you get that first sale under your belt, it makes it easier to make the second sale, and the second sale makes it easier to make the third sale, and the next thing you know, it's a snowball going down a mountainside, right? It just starts to snowball, and you'll get more and more and more sales. I don't want to put that in your brain that your first sale is your hardest one, but it's for some reason it seems to be that way. If you listen to the Excuses Be Gone book that we were reading this month, is that really true? I don't know. You tell me. Is that really true? What other questions do you have?
Well, yeah, I mean, I used a lot of friends and family at the beginning, and that helped. But the challenge is now getting outside that um, family and friends connection.
So you have to decide. You have to decide. Where that's at. Are you using referrals? When you talk to your family and friends, and they're already, they're members if they are. Hey, do you know anybody else that might be able to use our services? Start using the referrals. I think that once you get on a referral train, you're unstoppable. I mean, I use that in the business solutions world, and just getting referrals from friends. I mean, people ask me if I cold call. I really don't, because I use referrals. I ask people for referrals. Give me 2 or 3 people that you think might be interested in this. Well, I don't know if they'll be interested, but here's Joe and Penny and Elizabeth. You can give them a call, tell them I told you to call them. That referral train is just that's the place where you want to be. I personally hate cold calling. I'm not a cold call person. People say when I go to make a phone call, this 6.5 ounce phone suddenly weighs 1,000 pounds. I just don't. I'd like to tell you that it's easy, but cold calling is not easy. It takes a certain. Cold calling is easy. It takes a certain personality to get on the phone, make 50 phone calls every day, and that are cold calls, and you go through the trials of that. And as much as I'd like to say, I'm that personality and I don't mind making phone calls, I hate them. I hate cold calls. Am I allowed to say that, Tammy? Oh, I guess I already did.
Well, you've already did that, John.
Yes. But
Well, one
it
thing
is,
I'm sorry.
it's, I think that, well, I can't retract what I said. I can't retract it and
No,
make it
you're
sound good.
fine. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but all I'm hearing is the word decision. And it's a decision. Like you made up your mind. This is what you wanted to do. You decided. And you weren't riding the fence anymore. It was like you just decided that this was going to work and this is what you were going to do. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong um, about your train of thought, but that's what I'm getting. Am I
No,
wrong?
I don't think, especially when it comes to you being in a business, I don't think you can have your foot on both sides of the fence. You either have to be all in or all out. Now, I'm not trying to chase anybody away here, but mentally, I think that you have to be all in and you have to dedicate, however many hours it is per week, per day to that business. Kathy Minnick, and I know most of you probably don't know her, but she's one of the leaders on my team. She's a full-time teacher. And if you ever get the opportunity to talk to her, I mean, and I'll be on the phone with her. She goes, "You're holding me up from working my business," because she only has this limited amount of time to work her business. But she's determined, and I mean, she's going to be a director here soon. She's just and she's just plodding along, performance club qualifying every month, and consistent, and she's building a nice team, and she's all in. She's all in this business, and with a full-time teaching job. So I think that's what you have to be, and it is a decision, Tammy, that I think you have to make. Um, it, Sometimes we're afraid to make those decisions, right? If I go all in and it fails, now what? Well, if you don't go all in, it's going to fail. It's like I can't set up an appointment. How many calls did you make today? Well, I didn't make any. Well, congratulations, you accomplished that goal. You gotta pick up the phone. You gotta make the phone calls. You gotta talk to people. And I gotta throw this in here. We have a great system. I believe that it's definitely high tech, right? We got a lot of high tech things. We can send out websites and we can text and we can do all this kind of stuff. I firmly believe that high touch in this particular type of business is important as well. And if you're afraid to talk to people, then you have to be that person that gets them to somebody to talk to. Whether that's using Tammy as a third party call, or Mark or me or Jim, whoever it is. And you have to be, so how do you make that happen, right? So you get somebody that they're interested, and you talk to them and they start firing questions at you. Well, listen, Mark, my job is to get you some bunch of information, and then once I get you through that information, I can put you in touch with one of the leaders in our team. It's that simple. And once you say that, they stop asking you questions, because you basically told them you're not going to answer their questions. You're not, whether you know the answers or not, you're not answering them. And you get them through, our funnel. They get out the other end of the funnel. Now, Mark, when's a good time for you to meet with Tammy? And you set up that three-way call and let Tammy do the talking. And you just sit back and listen. I probably learned more from three-way calls with Jim Tanner than especially in this cold market recruiting that we do. I learned more from him from doing three-way calls than a lifetime of reading books about how to recruit people. It just he's a master at it. There's no doubt about it. And I learned a lot from him. And so you know, we're not into, and I hope you guys aren't either. We're not into arm twisting. We're not into, that used car sales closing tactics. It's, we're looking for the right people, the right type of people, and trying to, um, find folks that are like-minded individuals. One of my favorite phrases is I'm looking for displaced high achievers, because that was me. At least I believe it was me. Okay. All of a sudden I'm out of a job. I can't find a job because I'm too stinking old, apparently. And I had no place to go. And I've had businesses before, so it wasn't foreign to me. And because it wasn't foreign, I wasn't really too thrilled about jumping into another business, because there's a lot that goes behind that. Number one, there's only one person that you can point a finger at it, and that's yourself. So you are completely responsible for everything that happens in your business. But saying all that, I honestly, I think Legal Shield turned out to be a blessing in my life, not just because of the business and not just because I'm helping people with our products, but because of the people I get to meet, like all of you folks. So what else? Nicole, I can see that mind turning. You got a question.
I
What?
do, but I was waiting. I was letting someone else go because I usually talk the most, so I was letting someone else.
Well, I got a quick one. Well, hopefully a quick one. John, do you know, I've been looking for some literature for videos or something for decision makers, how to approach that. I've got some leads. I've got into some of the fire departments and police departments where I live. I'm actually going back to one 3rd of September here in my hometown because we didn't really have the turnout that we wanted. So I'm going to go back and present a second time. But I'm just having trouble getting the decision maker to, before, let me kind of sell. And maybe I'm just not getting across what I want to do before they're just like, I don't think this would work for us.
So you're not having a hard time talking to the decision maker. Your issue is actually getting a meeting with them.
Correct.
Okay. So I would suggest a couple of things. You could do John's method, where he invites his business owner friends out to lunch and Shanghais them into a presentation. That works pretty well. The second to that, I sat down with my accountant. She finished up all my accounting paperwork, and I pulled out my presentation book. I said, "Hey, let me tell you about what I'm doing," and I went through a complete presentation. Sorry, you can Shanghai them.
Yeah.
Other ways you can do it is instead of, I think you need to avoid trying to explain it to them over the phone, unless you're doing a decision maker meeting over the phone.
Which I'm usually not. I tell them I want to get in front of them for 15 minutes and not waste their time.
And they say, for what? And
Yeah.
of course, I probably would say something I don't know if these are friends or if they're cold calls, but I would say something to the effect of, listen, you may or may not be interested, but I know that it's something that can help with employee retention, keeping your employees at work, and just give me that 15 minutes. What time's good for you? Today at 10 or tomorrow at 11, something like that, because you got to get in front of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's helpful or not.
No, it very much so. I mean, it gives me something just quick and to the point, and not necessarily like, well, hey, I represent, the employee, or I'm sorry, the legal something fund or something, our program, because it's just like, I don't have time. And even though, their employees would be interested, or they would like to have it presented to them, they'll say, I don't think they'd be interested. Well, do you think they like mustard? I mean, it's just like, doggone, you can't say that, but it's just something you'd like to, to get past.
So you have to pique their interest. I have something that, I believe will help save the company money, because it does, because employees are at work as opposed to being in court defending a traffic ticket. help the company save money, keep employees, at work, both mentally and physically, which should help overall production. So you've told him two things: to save him money and you help his overall production. How can you say, I don't want to look at that, and
Right.
you're only going to take up 15 minutes of his time, and if at the end of 15 minutes, this isn't for you, I'm out of there. I won't bother you again. I mean, if it comes to that type of a conversation. So, but you have to, you can't tell them why it's good for the employees because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I know we believe all employers care about their employees, but to a certain degree they don't. You need to tell him why your services would help his company. Why is it worth him taking 15 minutes to talk to you?
Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Miss Nicole, come on now.
Okay, thank you. Hello again.
Hi.
So, okay, I've decided I'm going to do cold market recruiting and small business solutions. So I'm finally here. Like you, it took me 3 months to get here. I had to mourn my old job and move on, right? So here I am. So I'm wondering, when you were doing your cold market recruiting, how long did that take for you to see a um kind of an uptick in getting people to talk to you and stuff like that? Like, I looked at my membership websites today and I have like 319 people looked at my membership and almost 500 people looked at my opportunity website. So those are pretty decent, okay numbers for someone that's really only pounded for like almost a month now. And yet I've only had 12 people make an account, and we spoke to one person and she just wasn't ready yet. And hopefully I'll be speaking to someone tomorrow with Tammy for an opportunity to become an associate. So here I am, uh, honestly, a month in. Does that sound about right? Do you have any, like, I'm emailing? First I was emailing, and then texting, and now I'm emailing and texting, and then texting again, and then inviting them to um your thing on Mondays. But do you suggest me calling them? Because I don't want to call them and get on the phone and try and answer all these questions that they can be looking at on the video. So any feedback on that? Did that make sense? My brain just went
Does.
7 different places.
No, it does. All that makes sense. And all those are great questions. So I'm going to try and answer it this way.
Okay.
You have to think of cold market recruiting as a chessboard, as a checkerboard manager. Okay. If you do something for me, I'll do something for you. If you do something for me, I'll do something for you. And you've emailed people, you've sent them texts, you've invited them to look at your overview, and they haven't taken the step to create that guest account. When I first started, I was emailing, texting, calling, and I was only getting about 100 leads at a time. And the email, obvious what the email was, but the text message was pretty much too much. And I've since honed my text messages down to, hey, I sent you an email. I just wanted to make sure you got it. And my phone calls that I used to make, I used an app that took me straight to their voicemail. And the voicemail pretty much was a repetition of what the text message was. I don't call cold market leads until until at minimum they've created a guest account at this point. Remember, I'm 3 years into this now, so you got to remember some of that has to do with what I do. I don't text as much as what I used to. Unless I'm trying to push for something, and the text I send out is pretty much, hey, my name's John Fehrenbach. I'm with Legal Shield. I sent you an email. Let me know if you got it. And the reason I don't text a lot is because it drives me crazy getting the text message back within seconds of me sending out a text message that says, I never saw your email. I would think to myself, did you go look for it? I mean, did you go look for it? So I don't text as much as what I used to. But saying all that, it's if you've had, can you tell me about how many leads you've gotten?
About 600.
And you've had 500 people look at the opportunity website?
483 people looked at my website and only 14 created accounts. One girl was not ready yet, and hopefully one person will be. So I'm I'm wondering where my disconnect is here. Is it really 500 people looked at the website and saw the first video? And I mean, I had a conversation with one gentleman that was like, I've been a director forever, and I think using these videos is, means you have a high, high, what is that called? When like people leave. I'm like, dude, it's our own business, so you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I, so it's just the way that people think. So if I have 483 people look at my website and only 14 people decide to make a guest account and only 5 of them go through the entire thing, what's the disconnect there? Because
I
I
don't
feel
think
like that's a lot and so few people.
I don't think I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think your numbers are probably pretty right on.
All right,
Um,
good. Then that makes me feel better. I'll stop sweating.
it is a numbers game at the end of the day. Um, the um, I'm trying to decide how I want to say this.
You could be honest with me. Don't worry about it. It's okay. I'm not easily
The
offended.
honesty, Nicole, I have no problem with. I just so my initial email that I send out doesn't have any links.
Mm.
And then I follow up with a second email that does have links. And so the first email, so they say it takes 7 to 8 touches to make a sale, okay, averagely.
I
So some it
remember.
could
Yeah.
take 14 touches, some it could take 2 touches, right? So the first touch is the email that you send them. They send you an email back. Second touch is the email I send back to them. And then they look at the video, hopefully at that point. So there's a third touch. They set up a phone call with me. There's a fifth touch. The phone call with me is actually the sixth touch. So I'm creating touches through my process, and I haven't even spoken to anybody yet. Number one, they're getting used to my name, and so on and so forth. And sometimes that phone call that they set up with me is even before they've created a guest account, and then that conversation for me is purely a get to know them and drive them to create a guest account. I can tell you that my overall numbers for website views dropped, but if you look at my percentages of recruits to that, because my recruits just stayed at a certain point, right? And that percentage has changed. My percentage of guest accounts converted to associates is higher than what it used to be because of this particular way. But it really, you really have to manage it. You have to take control. You have to be in control of each and every step. Have you guys, here's another video to take a look at, it's called Meat and Potatoes. Has anybody seen that on Success Team? If you go to the Success Team search engine and type in meat or potatoes, or in fact, I'm here right now because I was looking at my stats. Potatoes, I can spell meat better. MEAT. It's called Meat and Potatoes. Come on. Oh, I think I have to be on my homepage. It's called Meat and Potatoes Recruiting Posture. It's 49 minutes. Now, there's some old information in there, but the posture, the way you want to present yourself, the way you want to be in control of that if you want to, we're not supposed to call it an interview, but the discussion that you're having with the new prospect, you want to be the person in control and be he does a great job. I can't remember who it is. He does a great job just kind of telling you, how explaining how your posture should be when you're talking to these people, instead of, being afraid to say something, being in a more, I don't want to call it aggressive, but be in the posture of, I know more about this business than this person does, which you do. Even if you're a person that's just starting out in this business, you know more than a person who's never had any experience with this business. So remember that you always know more than probably the prospect that you're talking to. And using that to be confident in your when you're talking to prospects. But yeah, meat and potatoes, that's another good one to check out for sure. Did I answer your question?
I mean, I think
It it it,
I
it truly takes it is a numbers game, and cold market
right,
recruiting is a
right,
numbers game.
right, right. And I think, you have to, you have to master the mundane and realize that this is what's going to happen and this is what you have to do. And this is just kind of the way it is. And this is, and so I just wanted to make sure that my numbers weren't so off that I'm not very easily discouraged. And again, honestly, I walked away from a six-figure job in March in sales and walked into this. And like I said, I had to mourn that and then move on from this. But now that I'm all in, I just want to make sure that I know how to sell. I could, I'm getting better into walking into a room and talking to people again. I'm good with that. I said my old job took a lot of my confidence away from me, unfortunately, but I'm gaining that back. Going to the boot camp actually changed a lot for me, believe it or not.
Well,
And
good.
I was excited. Yeah, I was excited to go, and it really did focus me. And so it's been only a few weeks since the boot camp, and I've really ramped up everything. And so I just want to make sure that my numbers kind of sounded right and kind of what I was doing sounded right as well. Tammy's been great. She's been helping me every step of the way with every question that I've had, with every, conversation that she and I have. She gives me advice. She kicks me in the butt when I have to. Like it's all good, and I'm happy about that. Because that's what you need sometimes. But I just wanted to make sure that I didn't sound completely off. And then maybe I adjust to not putting links in my first email and see how that goes. It's all about changing things up and seeing how things work. If I've gone for about a few weeks with putting links in my thing and I didn't get as many people, maybe I should change it up a little and see what happens that way.
Which email are you using, just out of curiosity? Is it the
It,
standard one that Success Team has on their website?
yes.
Okay. Um, Secondly, I want to say that us salespeople,
Hmm.
we know how to sell. There's no doubt about it. We know how to create relationships, right? I imagine you're great at both of those things. What sometimes we get in our own way of procuring knowledge, and we tend to complicate things. That in this business it's a simple business. This business is not a hard business. So kind of KISS, right? Keep it simple, Sally.
Hmm. Yeah.
um I think that that's an important thing to remember, and try not to overcomplicate it. And you pardon what I'm about to say, but you only have 500 leads, and that's not, it's really not a good enough
Sample size?
pardon me.
Sample size?
Sample size, thank you. Now when you get to 10,000, now I can pull up my numbers and your numbers, and I can say, okay, so this is what I'm getting, this is what you're getting, and it makes, some things will start to make sense. Even at 10,000, you're getting close to a good sample size.
Yeah.
It's and it's because it's cold market recruiting, and it's absolutely a numbers game. Absolutely. And I
Thank you. Yeah.
assume
So
you're
that,
just doing that for your Sorry about this. It is 90 degrees in my house. My air conditioning broke Friday and my motor's going to be here tomorrow. And I am like melting.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Thank
Oh
you for coming
no.
on.
oh no,
Wow.
I wouldn't have missed this for the world. Um, where was I headed before my
So
eye
you were talking
decided?
about sample size and 10,000 reach outs.
Yeah, in this being a numbers game, you just I was going. This is where I was going. You're not using. Are you using? Well, I guess you could use cold leads for business solutions as well, Nicole. Are you using cold leads for that as well?
Not yet.
Okay.
What I decide, I'm taking my training on Friday. I can't take the training on Wednesday. So Tammy and I decided that I'm just going to start going into places since most places don't have anything until November anyway. I'm just going to start walking into places and talking to people and hopefully try to make um, stuff for October, right? So make appointments for October to meet people and stuff like that, since I'm going through my training right now. But really, right now, my leads are just for the business opportunity.
Okay. Yeah. Tammy's got some real good insights on the
Mhm.
business solutions for sure. So, stick with her. I think we're all kind of learning together that whole part of the business, and how to best approach it. If I were to make one suggestion in business solutions, just follow your money. Where are you spending your money at? Those people you need to talk to. I'm spending, $2,000 a year with you mowing my grass. You can at least sit and listen to a presentation, right?
All
So,
right.
Yeah.
So John, one other question, if you don't mind me jumping in one more time. Um, did you do any social media and like when you got going? You laugh. Okay, go ahead.
uh,
Good.
I'm not a social media guru. Uh,
Okay.
and I know that's where everybody wants to go with this. Um, and because it makes sense, right? I mean, there's a huge audience out there. I actually purchased a program here a couple months back, and I said, you know what, I need to do this for my team. And it's just not where my comfort zone is. And I got into it. I tried to get into it. I didn't get into it. I tried to get into it. And it's just not me. And I think you have to realize what your limitations are as well as what your strengths are. And it's not one of my strengths. It's just not one of my strengths. As
Well,
much as
that's
I
okay. No, I just wondered if you took that approach, and that's okay. It's just you know, maybe some people are successful that way, right? So,
yeah,
what was the program that you bought, by the way?
it was called Beach Bosses.
Okay.
Don't buy it.
Okay.
there's
All
there,
right.
there
Fair
there's
enough.
a so they got all their information from a guy called Fernie, Ferny. If you look that guy up, he's kind of a heavy set guy. They got all their stuff from him, and they just took and packaged up his stuff real nice and pretty. And I wish I would have known about that before I knew about the other. I didn't spend a lot of money, a couple $100. And they were selling a funnel and the funnel system. I already have all that built. The part I
Right.
need to know
It's
is
all in our. It's all in our stuff.
right. The part I
Right.
need to know is how do I and I got into it a little bit, Mark, so please don't take anything about what I'm about to say as, oh, that's how you do it. But what they suggest you do is join groups, start to and Venus talks about this, and she does it great, right? It's just not my, uh, it's not in my wheelhouse. But you go out and you start to friend people and become friends, and then somewhere in that process, you transfer them over so that they can become, find out they're interested in the opportunity. And then once you find out they're interested in the opportunity, then you start them into our funnel. I don't, I can't, in my brain, I can't work out the transition from friending a stranger to getting them into our funnel. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I went from 2 Facebook friends to 100 after I started Legal Shield because I started adding people. I'm kidding. But yeah, I try, that approach with LinkedIn and Facebook. trying to look for specific people that are having rental issues, right? Or landlord issues. So I'll look that up in Facebook and then approach them. So I didn't know if you did anything like that.
I really haven't. I can tell you that I do have somebody on my team that's doing it with some success. And I've tried to learn, excuse me, learn from her. And I hesitate to say she's not a great teacher. But you know what? I after at some point I just said, you know what? Just you go do you, and she's recruiting a team through social media, and she's growing. So I'm pretty excited for her. So
So if you could share her name, I might reach out. You can't? Oh
I
no.
could. I'm not going to.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine.
You have to
But
trust that your
thanks for
leaders are
your
going
response.
to point you in the direction of people that can help you. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Well, thanks, Don.
You're welcome. Tammy, we're 4 minutes to the hour.
Okay.
What anything else that I hopefully this was helpful tonight. I enjoyed
It
myself
was
actually.
awesome. It was awesome. I love just the conversation because, like I said, on Monday, we don't get to talk like this. Everything is so structured on the team call, and we really don't get to know the leaders. And I really appreciate. I'm sorry, she's fussy. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your heart and all with us. It helps. It really helps because we're in this together for sure. You know.
At the end of the day, Tammy, and the rest of you, the struggle, is real, right? But I think what separates the folks that are successful at this business and the ones that aren't is the ones that push through the struggle. I mean, I've had, people that have owned businesses join my team and call me up and say, you know what, this just isn't for me. And it's anytime you're getting a business off the ground, I mean, it is a struggle. And even 3 years in, I don't believe that I have a fully, where I can close my eyes and not look at the business. I mean, I have to pay attention to it and stay tuned, stay in tune with it, and continue to look for people, leaders in my team, continue to look for people that want to run with me. And that's, I think that, that's all helpful, and help everybody and anybody in my team that wants help. There's some people who don't want help. I mean, I've actually had people say, I got this, I'll call you when I need you. Okay. So it's their business. It's your guys' business. You run your business the way you want. Tammy's a great leader, as you all know, and she's willing to help you in any way, shape, or form that you might need it. And I do appreciate everybody's time this evening. Thank you for letting me come on. This was very exciting.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much, John.
No worries.
Please drink some water.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Gatorade.
Tammy has my phone number. I'd be happy to have one-on-ones with anybody that wants to talk. I do have a Calendly. Actually, what I'm going to do, let's see here. I can does it help to put it in the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly.
This is my calendar. And this is why does that look so weird?
That's good.
That's me. Okay. And this is my phone number. And
Thank you,
anytime
John.
you talk to me, you might hear some Tannerisms come out of me, because I mean, he's been the guy who's I've grabbed onto his shirt tails. I like the way he operates, the way he thinks, and he knows this business. He knows it inside and out. He knows what I'll call the scientific side or the pragmatic side, and he also knows the art side of it. Because this business is art and science, and sometimes you just don't know where to turn. So, well, that's it for me. I'm
All
just going to
right,
continue
John.
blathering on if you leave me on here, Tammy.
You're good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're gonna
Hey, John.
you can exit out. We're gonna just carry on just a few minutes, and you're welcome to stay if you want to, or you can, because I know you're dying.
I'm gonna
But
go get it. I am gonna go
go
get that
get
Go
you
glass
get
some
a
of
drink,
water.
water.
please.
Yes.
John, thanks
Please.
for the time. That was
Take
very
Thank you, John.
helpful.
All right,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
John.
All right.
All right, you guys, that was awesome. And I do apologize for my munchkin here, putting in her
Oh,
2 cents.
that's funny. That's awesome.
But here's some things that I got for y'all. I listened to Scott Brooks's training the other night. He was amazing. I did not know his whole story. He was in ministry for 15 years in California, and his ministry was going down, and he had to not sell, but merge the ministry with another ministry, and him and his wife decided to move to South Carolina. And he was literally selling things out of his house to survive. And that's just where he was when he found Legal Shield. And here's some things that he said. Now, he did business solutions, right? So some of you are doing this business solutions, some of you are doing small business, some of you are recruiting. This will apply. Can y'all hear me over her? I may have to go get her a bottle. This can apply to
Tammy, you're
any.
fine.
Well, I'm
You're
so
fine.
sorry. I did feed her. I did feed her before we got on here, so she wouldn't do this. But here's what he said, and y'all can interpret this to whatever area that you want to do, right? So he said, follow instructions, right? So we all have our instructions. Sell at least 5 memberships. Get 5 memberships on your books. And he said, get excited, believe, and study and learn. Okay. Y'all hang on just a minute. Let me go get her bottle. Hold on. Y'all can talk. Hang on.
Hey, Tammy, isn't like that fast start started at 8?
Yes.
And that's why I'd rather like talk amongst ourselves, anyways.
Yeah,
But
that's okay. It's good to see Michelle. It's good to see you. I've
Thank
heard nothing
you.
but
hi,
wonderful things
Michelle.
about you.
Guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I almost wanted to pick your brain because you were so successful so quickly, and you had some, from what I understand, some decent roadblocks while you were doing it, but still, came right out of the bat. So, I've been looking forward to quote unquote meeting you. So it's
Oh,
really, really good to see you.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of hard with my regular job, but I did my best today to jump on here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So Nicole, what is the class that you're doing Friday?
The small business training.
Okay, is that the free class or is that the certification?
No, tomorrow's the free class. So unfortunately, I'm going to miss the free class this month. I have to take the class on Friday first before I can do the second class. So I have to do the first class on Monday. I mean on Friday, excuse me. I think I'm doing it from it's 5 Eastern to 10 Eastern. And then I guess I'll do my second part next month.
So we all have to do part 1 for. I get so confused about this small business
I
training.
do too, so don't feel bad.
Well, you
No,
too, Michelle?
I could have sworn in at the boot camp that they said that we could have done 2 because they were giving it for free first, and then Tom, who was in Tennessee with me, said no, that wasn't the case. So unfortunately, I'll just have to, it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. If this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to have to do.
Right,
So,
right. So, are we supposed to do anything online first and then do like a first class and then a certification class?
Yeah, you've
no,
I
you
got
missed
to
can't.
take
it.
the small business,
Yeah.
What's
small
that?
group certificate. You have to take the small business, small group certification class, and then take the employee certification, which is part 2. So I'm going to leave my camera off
Oh,
because I am literally standing up bouncing her, and it's not a pretty sight. So um, this
don't
is
worry about it.
Says
I'm
you,
going.
says you.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of read these off to y'all because this really struck me, right? So follow instructions, get your 5 memberships, get excited. He said you have to stay excited. Believe in what you're doing, believe in yourself, study and learn, right? Know your product. That includes getting on the sales master classes, going over the legal shield and the ID shield, knowing because you're going to be asked questions and you want to be confident, and knowledge is power. So you want to do that. Rehearse your presentation, right? So no matter what you're doing, like if Nicole is doing recruiting, there's still a presentation with that. You still have a presentation, whether you're doing a small business, you're doing individual, you're doing recruiting. You have to know your presentation and rehearse that with someone. Whether you're doing it, rehearsing it in front of a mirror, with your family, with your dog, somebody, get used to saying it. I've listened to Scott Brooks's presentation. I listen to it just about every day, if not twice a day. Not that my language is just like his, but I like a lot of it, and I want it to be very similar to him because I like how the psychology, I guess was the right word that he used with his. Okay, organize. He said that things that were not income producing activity he did on evenings and weekends. While it was work hours, he was working with people. And so he said, just get yourself organized with that. Huh? Okay. He said, make the calls. Like, don't be scared of people. Make the calls, just like what Nicole and John were just talking about. It's a numbers game. No matter what area you're focusing in, it's all a numbers game. And you have to make the calls, the texts, the emails, the something. You have to reach out. Get certified. So I know that the small groups is the only thing that really is requiring certification anymore. However, I would suggest if you're going to be a recruiter, know every area. Like take the CDL class. What if you recruit a CDL person, right? You can speak their language. To me, education is power. I've always said that. It will help you. If I'm talking to anybody, I can speak what they're talking about. I can understand and I can relate. So when you relate to people, I'm gonna try to do this, y'all. When you relate to people, it really does make a huge connection, right? So today, for example, I was making a few calls for groups, and the guy said, well, I don't have any employees, but it's me and my brother. We own this business. And I said, oh, great. I said, we have a small business plan that would work amazingly for y'all. Like I switched it just like that because I know, you know, I know what products we have. I know what could fit him. And he said, well, tell me in about 5 minutes what that would consist of. So I didn't do a presentation, but I gave him enough carrot to dangle in front of him. That he said, okay, he said, we need to get some legal stuff done and we need to come see you. So we'll be calling you and we're going to set up a time. I said, perfect. Sounds great. Right. So that's what I mean by, that's what I took from getting group certified. And y'all, I can't stress this enough. Use people like John, me, people that's been in this, lean on us. You're not in this by yourself, right? And all of you have texted me at times and it's been like, give me 5 minutes or give me 20 minutes or whatever. If I'm in the middle of something, because when I talk to you, I want to be focused on what you're telling me, right? So that's why, I do that, but I always get back with you. Contact a lot, like a lot of people, a lot of businesses, no matter what area you're going into, contact a lot of those. Know how to close. Close is key. When, at the end, this is when people get nervous. Back a long time ago when I was doing Mary Kay, we had a what we called a roll-up bag, and this roll-up bag was $450, right? And I used to get really nervous about telling these women, okay, this is what you need to look 20 years younger, and it's $450. And I'm just thinking they're just going to die. But you would be shocked at the money that I made in Mary Kay because I was confident in when I said it. Like I wasn't, no, it was like, okay, this is what we need to do. So we either need to do a payment plan or whatever. It's the same thing with this. People tell me all the time, do I have to make a decision today? I said, well, what are you going to do if something happens today and you don't? Do you have a backup plan? What's your plan B? Think quick on your feet. So know how to close. Be professional all the time when you're out with these people. Because you're representing Legal Shield, but be proud of your business, y'all. We have a multi-billion-dollar business here. When we were in Cookeville, one thing that gave me hope was they said a man, and I don't know if they said exactly how old he was. They said he was over 70, right, Nicole? Over 70 that built $1 billion organization. Yep. He started when he was over 70, y'all. So can y'all imagine how much money we can make? We're not 70. So, I mean, and even if you were, so what? Age is just a number. We can do this. Follow up. He said, always, always, always follow up. Have enough business on your books for 1 week, like for the next week. Like do your calls this week so you have stuff going for next week and keep the rotation going. Stay motivated. That's probably really hard when she's asleep. When you get discouraged, I know, right? When you get discouraged, and you're like, and you're having a horrible day. So what do you do when you do that? That's why we have this team, right? Call somebody. Say, hey, this is what happened. I just got to talk because I'm a talk through kind of person. Something happens to me, I got to talk through. My husband will tell you he hates it when things happen because we have to sit down and talk about it. He don't want to talk about it. But he has to listen. I don't need him to say anything. I just need him to let me get it out. Because if I don't get it out at midnight, we're going to be up talking about it. So, that's what we're here for. We're here for each other. But doing the book of the month is really good. And they have personal development on the homepage on the success team that has all kinds of videos, things that you can watch. Some of that Jim Rohn stuff was on there. I know Jim had that video that what John was talking about, so I got to get it from him because I don't have it unless it's the one that was on the success team. It used to be on his page, but anyway, he said, find your style, right? So I'm not going to be just like John. John and I are two different personalities. me and Jim were two different personalities, but I take a little bit from John, I take a little bit from Jim, I took a little bit from Scott Brooks, I've taken a little bit from Mark, I've taken a little bit from everybody, and I've kind of made it my own. And you do that through practice. You have to practice this no matter what area you're in. Roll with the punches. You know, things are going to happen. You know, I had a lady last week tell me, look, you got 5 minutes to do a presentation, and I really want to hear what you have to say, but we really got to get back to work. So you got 5 minutes to spit this out. I didn't have time to get my little notebook out or anything. It was like, oh my gosh. And so I was blah, 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 blah. And when I got finished, I said, is that good enough? You know, did you need it faster? And she goes, no, you did great. So, you know, but you have to roll with the punches. Build a team. Your team is your future. You don't want to do this by yourself. I told Nicole and I had a heart to heart, and we were talking about this. And this is Tammy. This is not Legal Shield. This is Tammy. I told her, I said, 2 areas. Find 2 areas that you can get excited about. Building a team is one, but what's the other one? Because people are not going to follow a parked car. They're just not. If they're going to sit there and say, well, what are you doing? How many memberships have you sold? What's your paycheck look like? You want to be able to tell them truthfully, right? And that's one of the things, like I had that heart to heart with you guys last week. And that's one of the things that I really had to, I felt like I had to do better. So I'm doing better. I got 3 appointments tomorrow, starting at 7 a.m. I got to go take her to my mom's in a minute. So, her mom is coming to get her tomorrow. So thank you, Jesus. But, you know, you have, I know, girl, you have the opportunity. We just have to take advantage of that. We have people all around us all the time. Manage your team. That means spending time with the people that are wanting this. This means helping them, encouraging them, strengthening them, being there for them. And I love our team. To me, we have the best team in all of Success Team. And I can't wait. You know, I just know it's gonna just go boom, and we're all gonna be executive directors, and they're gonna be like, who in the world are these people? But it's okay because I know who you guys are, and I think it's gonna be awesome. And then he said, make up your mind. And that's what John was talking about, decision. You have to make a decision. And commitment. Commitment was the last thing he said. This was a great training that Scott Brooks did. I really enjoyed listening to him. Like I said, a lot of it was business solution part, but you can take it in any area that you really wanted to focus in. And so I thought it was really good, and I wanted to share this with you guys tonight. And you know, it's there. We just gotta do it. You know, I mean, I have her on Mondays and Tuesdays, and in between naps and stuff, I'm making calls, I'm texting, I'm doing what I know I need to do, because I know what my schedule has to look like. But everybody's life is different. I know Michelle works. I mean, you have to work it in and out your life as it is. I mean, we can't stop living. I keep her for my daughter so she can work and go to school. And her husband works, and I mean, they can't get her up at 2 o'clock in the morning. So here we are. But I mean, you just do what you've got to do, right, to make this work. Everybody's life is different. Some people work full time, some people don't. Some, have parents that they're taking care of. I have that too. But we just roll with it, but we can make this happen. So do you guys have anything y'all want to add to that before I close this out?
I just
I
think that your grandbaby is just so excited about Legal Shields that she fell asleep.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Lord. Yes, she did. Michelle?
First one, right? That's your only grandchild?
No, it's my third.
Third.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
That's exciting. I know I'm going to be a great grandma in December. I'm going to have a great
Oh,
wow.
Michelle, go you.
That's
Wow.
awesome. Well, you
Yeah.
don't look it, girl.
No, I know.
Thank you. I do have a quick question though.
Okay.
So, um, there is the B2B. I mean, these are just different areas, right? And I just want to make sure I got them all understood in my brain. There's the B2B, and then there's the small group, small business that class that me and you attended, right, on Saturday. That's correct. Is that correct?
Yes, that's part of B2B.
Oh, that's part of that one. Okay. And then what else? What else is there?
There's team building,
Team
there's
building.
B2B, and small business. Now, you can break B2B down into a lot of different little mini sections, right? So, if just say, for instance, if I wanted just to target school teachers, like I could do that. We have a public safety plan just for teachers, firefighters, and police departments. That has to be in a group. They have to be a group. But I could target certain audiences
Okay. Okay.
like that. Okay. But yeah, those are the
Okay.
three main ones. So
Tammy,
you can you can work with the business as a whole with a small business plan, or you can work with the employees, or you can work with families, or team building.
being that a lot of us are pretty new to this, is it possible we could take one of our meetings or one of these weeks and just talk about the whole business portion of this?
Sure.
I think
I don't know if anybody else wants to, but
no, I think that's a good idea to better understand it. Like
Yeah.
I've missed a lot of these meetings and I try to go back and catch them, all the meetings actually. I think all they're archived, but I would really like that to have
Okay.
that as a discussion.
Sure. I think we have one more leader, and that's Chris Corley. He's amazing to be on, because I want you guys to know the leaders. But I mean, that's up to y'all. I haven't talked to him. If y'all want to pause for a week or so, then we could like dive into different areas. Um, or we can just go ahead and I can go ahead and see about Chris, and then start the series. So it's up to y'all.
in my opinion, Tammy, I saw, I will offer my opinion as I normally do, but I would love to dive into the business stuff to understand it more.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Okay. Do y'all have thoughts?
Either way, because I love hearing him speak. For me, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay. I haven't even talked to him. So, but yeah, we'll see what next week is Labor Day Monday. So yeah, we could I'll figure it out next Tuesday. But I think that's a great idea too. So
But
that y'all understand.
Monday, isn't all the meetings from Monday because it's a holiday going to be moved over to Tuesday? So that might be a busy Tuesday.
It may be. We may start like just one subject on this coming Tuesday. And then see about him, sometime in September. But go
Okay.
ahead and start that. But yeah, I think that'd be a good idea too.
Yeah, I find that could be such a great opportunity. I'm having a hard time getting my arms wrapped around it myself. So
So here's the deal. When I first started, maybe this will help y'all. When I first started, I started with families. I worked with individuals because I wanted to get my presentation down, right? So back then we didn't have flip books and videos and all this. Well, I had flip book, but I went to their house and literally just sat down with them and done presentations. So what happened was some of them started saying, well, I have a business. So do you have a plan for a business? So then I had to learn small businesses. Well, then when I started doing that, then the conversation got to, well, I got some employees. Do you have something for employees? And then I got into groups. So it kind of evolved. But I will next week we'll start out with the we'll just go down the line, right? We'll talk about all of them, and then we'll take one at a time, and just
That'd be great, Tammy.
and kind of dissect it. So we'll do that. We'll start that next week, and then I'll talk to Chris because next Tuesday we'll be busy. They're doing the team call on Tuesday. They're not doing anything on Monday. So, but anyway, but I appreciate you guys being on here. I hope this was helpful that John did for you. I apologize again for my co-host being so rudely interrupting my call.
She's a quiet co-host right now.
She's wonderful right now.
Right.
So
that's awesome. Thank
you. But
that was great.
But I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all got a lot out of John. He's really a great guy. And his number's in the chat. If you know, feel free to call him. I mean, he's great. So, will you guys have anything else before I stop this? Okay. Well, y'all have
put the baby down for sleep.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night. Y'all have a great Labor Day.
You
Oh,
too.
you
You
too
too. Thank
now.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.